Myself a little bit.
Wow. Monsters, bitches, and gentlefolk. Welcome to Tabletop Tiddies, a queer and feminist live Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition actual play podcast run entirely by people of marginalized genders. My name is Charlene Bear, and I'll be your question master this evening. Yep, this is an extra special Q&A/talkback show. My pronouns are she, her, and you can call me Char. My dear friends and players today are ready to go.
Hello, my name is Sara Mayfield. My pronouns are she, her, and on the podcast and stream, I play Wilmer Adamith Myandis III. And he is a wild magic half-elf sorcerer.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rachel Theilade. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Borba Skullcleaver, the orc barbarian, who is also she, her.
Hey everyone, it's your gal pal, Emily Matchette. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Steve the Gnome Rogue Artificer, whose pronouns are also a she, her.
And I'm Kelly. My pronouns are they, them, and I don't have a cool character screen for my character, Timber Cottonwood, and his best friend, the dire fox, Pip Digglepup. Man, it's been so long since I said Pip's name that I forgot how to say it. Both Timber and Pip's pronouns are he, him.
And we have no ads today because this is a super special bonus episode, which means that we are about to dive into the questions and stories. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We also have a list of pre-written questions from our Patreon. Thank you so much to our patrons and everyone that sent in questions on social media. But first, there's a special thing that we're doing, and I'm so excited. Emily!
Oh, yes!
We got you a present! And I want you to open it.
I forgot we were doing this. Yay!
I was like, what is the special
Here's the thing, though. Backstory on this is that Sara stopped by my work to get craft supplies, which now I'm wondering if she even needed the craft supplies.
I definitely. So basically, I messaged Emily being like, hey, I love your Triceratops headband from the dinosaur one shot. And I was like, I want one too. Do you have any leftover crafting supplies? So I messaged her about it because like theoretically I probably could have figured out getting some of my own, but I also I was like, it's easier to just get some from Emily. But I used that as my excuse.
I questioned it though.
I was like, Emily.
Seriously, she gave it to me and then I went on to explain how I made it, and then like 10 minutes after she left, I was like, did she even need that?
Yeah, you never actually sent me the instructions though. Could you do
that later? Okay. Obnoxious and fold the wrapping paper as I take it out.
You gotta do it like into the mic, so it's like the ASMR crinkling of tissue paper.
This is also like 100%.
Wow, your mic does not pick that up.
It doesn't pick it up at all.
That's a good ass mic.
Good mic.
Bad ASMR mic.
Yeah, bad ASMR mic, but good for this.
Also,
there are multiple parts to this gift.
There are many items.
Hey.
Of course.
This will last me for the rest of all the recording ever.
What is it for the audio listeners out there?
Yeah, what is it?
White Claws? Mango White Claws? Mango White Claws into the mic, Emily.
Yeah.
Which would kill Sara normally, so good thing we didn't get them for her.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I told you to get the mango ones. I didn't know you were allergic.
That's why I asked what your favorite White Claw flavor was.
It
Not
was
for me.
sneaky all along.
You.
Hey.
Oh. It's a maple syrup.
Oh yes.
What? Oh.
So when I played the Canada
I
Day
heard
one
something
shot
else.
with your dad,
I think I heard the same
I heard
thing.
maple syrup too. Yeah. Yeah. So when I played the Canada Day one shot with your dad, Emily,
Yes.
your dad said that he'd never had like BC maple syrup, and my
Oh.
dad makes like broadleaf maple syrup in our
Oh,
backyard.
What?
So that is
Wow.
maple syrup from my backyard farm in Abbotsford.
Heck yeah.
That's so cool.
Shar
That's
said that you have a
rad.
farm, like that somehow means you automatically make maple syrup. I assume
No.
farms like corn and
They
cows
have
and
all
stuff.
kinds of shit. They got honey from bees. They got chickens that's
Horses.
named Oreo. I've been to this farm.
You should. Hey, let me send you our address so you can send some of that maple syrup.
Okay, I want to see
There's
more
it.
about the present.
Oh hell yeah!
Gelatinous cube soap.
Yeah.
yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It has a full set of dice inside.
Yeah.
You gotta bathe yourself
There's
to
rainbow
unlock
dice in there, but I have to clean myself first. Get it? Ooh. We got some more beverages.
it. Ooh,
Bottle of champagne.
some champagne.
Champagne.
Champagne. I refuse to pronounce anything correctly.
Gnome
Overwhelmed
roll.
with emotions. A face mask. Oh, I love that.
Ooh.
I try to face mask after every stream because I'm stressed.
Mm.
Usually.
It's good to
Like all the
relax.
makeup.
Yeah. It's like a little self-care package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cookies and this is why you asked me my favorite type of cookie too. I love it.
We had a secret message group and everything, being like,
Yeah.
guys, does this look like it's? Does this
Sus?
look
Is this
suspicious?"
casual?
Like,
Yeah.
You guys.
There's also those are some carrot cake cupcakes that we made that are in there too.
Ooh.
Well, I made.
Sarah made those. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like COVID. I didn't have any other people over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you
you
so much,
do so
everybody.
much extra work. Sarah organized everything. Thank you so much, Sarah. And but yeah,
Like, I
you do
took
so
input
much.
from everyone. We all came up. We like spitballed ideas. We all pitched for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really appreciate all the work you've done for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly, you can edit me out of the rest of this because I'm gonna go cry now.
Sounds good. I did have an overlay without you in it for some reason.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
see you guys.
Now it is time for us to get to the questions.
Pew, pew.
Bah, bah, bah.
I managed to change your overlay. It now says Question Master after you said that.
Ooh, thank you.
Yes.
And I do want to say that we have a very special announcement that is going to be at the end of this episode. So stick around if you want to catch that. And our first question is from our patron, Lord Zombie 13 on Twitter, asks, will season 2 have the same characters in a new adventure or everything totally new? And this is cool because it's kind of a mix of both. We're still following, oh yeah, there's going to be massive spoilers for all of season 1 of the Wildwell Trials Tabletop Tiddies. So
Yes.
you've been warned. But with season 2, we're going to be continuing on from the aftermath of the Wildwell Trials. So going into dealing with Hecna, this ominous patron who's apparently living in a horror carnival called the Revelia. So we'll be doing part of Hit Point Press's Kickstarter, Hecna, the playtest. Or it won't be a playtest, it'll be the actual PDF now. And we have a bit of some cast changes here. Amanda will not be joining us for season 2, but we wish her all the best. And Kelly's going to be coming on as a full-time cast member.
Hello.
Not playing Timber,
Not
but
playing
a
Timber.
brand new character.
Yes.
Do you want to take some time to do a little tease?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you everything, but they are going to be non-binary, just like me. They're going to be changeling, just like me. They're going to be a monk, just like me. And
Yeah.
somehow
Oh,
be
yeah.
a healer as well, just like me.
Oh, just like me.
I'm struggling with names, but I think I'm going to go with, one sec, I just wrote this down literally 2 seconds ago. I think I'm gonna go with Asher Lochner.
I love that name.
The Lochner is apparently Nordic for healer, and
There you go.
depending on how I spell Asher, it either means blessed or person who lives next to an ash tree.
Great.
And
Both of those are great.
yeah, I don't know
Yes.
which one I like better, so that'll be a spur of the moment thing. But yeah, I'm really excited to come on and play as a new character. Watching y'all have so much fun over the last season. I'm excited to jump in, especially with a new character. Timber's off doing his stuff, helping people, and Asher's gonna slip in there and try to help just you lot by punching things and healing things.
And healing things.
Yeah.
Maybe
Hopefully
at
us.
Well, looking
Heal us, please.
like
Specifically Wilmer.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to like merge the Wildwell stories that we have already built up, like the Fear Fort backstory, with this new horror carnival space. We had so much fun playing their play test, which was a bonus episode this season. So it's going to be super, super cool to do that. And it's going to be easier for me because I'm going to already have stuff written down that I can pull from whenever I want.
it's gonna be so hard because I knew what everything you guys were gonna be doing along the way because Char
Oh,
like bounced
yeah.
stuff off of me, but now I'm gonna be in the dark.
Ha!
Aha!
Join us.
All right, next question. How did you all meet, and how did you really come up with this idea and decide to do this? Emily, do you want to field this one?
Yeah. So we all, with the exception of Kelly, we know through Char, we all went to Cabana University for musical theater. I hate how I said that.
Is that redacted? What was that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Don't tell anybody where we really went to school.
Like I started
Tell
saying it, and I
everyone
was like,
we're
maybe it's not a good
musical
idea to
theater
say that, but also
majors.
like you can follow me on Instagram. It's on there. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but anyway, I scrolled back in all of my Facebook messages to Char. And on July 16th, 2020.
Ooh, dates and
Ooh.
everything.
Yeah.
Got
I
the
said,
receipts.
hey, how are you? I have a question/proposition for you. And that's how it started.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, so that's how that started. And then Rachel and I played some D&D in university together. And then Sara, I think you responded to like a D&D Instagram story or something.
No. So I know what happened. What happened between us is I saw that you like made an Instagram story, and then I sent you a message being like, "Hey, I really want to learn how to DM. You want to just like get a gang together and I was DM
like,
every week?" And you were like, "No, let's do a podcast."
I was like, hey, podcast? And then we had some production meetings, and Char and Kelly had the streaming history. So we decided to stream as well. And honestly, like it's snowballed into such a bigger thing than I could have ever imagined, even at this point.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how we all met in the school. And then Char and Kelly met while we were doing a show.
Yeah.
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 Um,
We don't have to talk about that.
It's a whole big Tinder story.
Yeah.
Hey, but it lives rent free. Can I tell this story?
Yes, you
It's
can.
so cute. Rent free in my brain. I have a horrible memory, but living rent free in my brain is a moment when we were in the ladies' dressing room at Theater Under the Stars, and Char came in and she was all giggly, and someone was like, Char, what the fuck is wrong with you right now? And she was like, someone just told me they loved me, and it was so cute. And
So
I literally,
cute.
like, it lives rent free in my brain that moment.
Who was that?
It was
'Cause I've never
you.
done
I'll fight them.
So
Yeah.
I love that. That yes.
I mean,
There we go.
when I first met Char, there was a lot of like, "Hey, I'm showing all of the people in the dressing room our conversation," and I was like, "Okay."
If you ever
she's like, "I told everyone you're gonna be in the audience tonight," and I was like, "Okay."
You had bright green hair at
look
the
for the
time.
green hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were like so noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's just a PSA. If you're dating someone in theater, the entire dressing room knows
Yeah.
what's going
I
on.
assumed.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Like the entire time.
Okay, enough about me. Next question.
Okay, next question.
Why focus on marginalized I'm going to take that again. Why focus on marginalized voices? Rachel, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, totally. So marginalized voices, I know we say, like, as we are a collective of marginalized genders, but we focus on bringing on guests that are still part of the marginalized voices because there are a lot of spaces that cater to cisgender white men already. Let's be real. Like, if that's a shocking thing for you to hear, I don't know what to tell you. That's just how it be. So we came together and decided, you know what, why shouldn't we have our own safe space to raise each other up and to prop up the voices that don't necessarily always get heard? Because I think that's really important. That was our whole thing, and it's like always going to be a thing, just making sure everybody feels safe at the table, and we'll always prioritize guests that are of that group as well. So,
yeah. It's not even like just about the table itself,
No.
but like in podcasting too, it gets even worse. Like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Rachel. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, from Twitter at ReadMoreNerd asks, the real question is, how do we join the Biscuit Pitter Patter fan club?
I would also like to join this club.
This made
Biscuit
me
is the best.
squeal out loud. I was so excited because Biscuit, I don't know if I said this on the podcast itself, but he's who I play in my home game with Kelly and their mom. So he's a really fun NPC that I got to just shove in there, and I'm so used to playing him I don't even have to think. And this is such an easy question to answer because you can just join our Patreon. Patreon.com/tabletop tiddies. That's Biscuit will reap the benefits of the hard-earned cash you send our way.
Love that.
Okay, what is consent and why is it important? Sara, do you want to answer this one?
I got this one.
Heck yeah.
Well, to rip off every single wedding speech ever, the Oxford Dictionary defines consent as permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. So basically, like, D&D is supposed to be fun. Like, it's a game. And
What?
what?
D&D is
Have
life.
fun?
But like,
No, this is my serious nerd time. No fun.
no, just serious. I need my weight to be accurate. If we're not dealing with rations or components on spells, what's the point?
Listen, I got a lot of gates that I've been keeping. What am I supposed to do? Just let anyone in?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So basically, like, bringing up trauma is not fun. So if you have a history of alcoholics in your family, a drunk adventure may be fun to some, but for that person, it's not going to be a good time. And if it's not fun for one member of your group, it's not fun for everyone because they're going to be off and they're going to be upset. And then that's just not a good time. So yeah, like, this is fantasy, people. If your fantasy world needs to kill my cat, maybe it's your fantasy world that's the problem, you know?
Hard look to camera.
Let me jim that camera for a sec.
Yeah.
That's a good example though, specifically for this show. Because with Rachel, who had floof, that was like from the get-go, I just said flat out, like, I'm not going to kill your cat. It doesn't matter what situation you get in. And Rachel and I had that conversation about, like, Borba could die, but floof will always remain.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Violence against animals wasn't on my hard no list. By the way, everybody, we use consent forms on this podcast, and we always recommend using them. They're on our website. I didn't put it on my hard no list, but I think I may have put it on my, like, talk to me about it first thing. And it's like, if that just doesn't seem like something that would be fun to bring up for our audience in general anyway, so we decided against it. But yeah, it's certain things could be like, I'll be okay, but always ask first. That's the point of
I'm pretty sure it's
So-
on Char's hard no list, which
Yeah.
a lot of people seem to forget
Yeah.
that the DM's also a person and they should have veils and
Yeah.
lines.
This
Yeah.
is so true.
sure.
Yeah.
With playing D&D though, I didn't want to get in like lost in like we fought animals, like there were opportunities for you to combat were-rats, or there were bears that might have been a
Bears, yeah.
potential. And it was on everyone's like it was our collective soft no list, and I was okay with that. But it's always good to check in, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. So this like ties into the next like important part of consent in RPGs is like having a way to like red card or a hard stop. So if you ever like consent can get given, you can always change your mind. So maybe one day you're okay to explore like a gory dungeon and another day you're not. And you're allowed to change your mind. So like maybe one day you're like, I don't want to fight a bear. And you can just be like, hey guys, not today. And then everyone at the table, you don't have to explain it. Like if someone has a hard no of like something like scrambled eggs, they're okay. Like they don't have to explain that hard no.
Mhm.
You just have to respect that boundary.
Mhm.
And like bringing up triggers and explaining something like that could be traumatic. So please don't hurt your friends.
Mhm.
They're your friends. They're there to support you, and you're here to have a good time because like RPGs are supposed to be a good time.
Yeah.
So incorporate consent forms into your games at home, in your session zeros, or whenever you think best. If you're mid-campaign, bring it in. There's no time too late. And you can get our consent form that we use on our website, and it's under our resources tab.
I'm putting it in the chat.
Ha-ha!
I even used it for our home game, which is literally just my mom, Char, and I.
Yeah.
And there's been a few instances where, like, slip of the mind, I forgot that my mom had something, and I'll just literally change what the scene is at the last moment.
Okay, next question. How did you come up with the Wildwell Trials concept? So I'll field this one. I had way back when Emily first texted me and we all started getting together about this. We decided I was going to DM, which was like, okay, my first time, but great. But we had 3 core concepts that I had of what I thought would be like fun to play as a short season to test the waters of this. So I had Oops, All Bards, where everybody would play a bard character, but then I was like, oh no, that's just sirens. So let's not do that. The Wildwell Trials, which was going to be a Hunger Games ripoff. And I had a concept of the players literally being themselves playing D&D.
Oh yeah.
And then like turning into their own characters and the worlds like colliding. So I offered all those options up to everybody. And then we did a vote of like, not just like hard yes or hard no, but like people ranked their choices of those options. And Wildwell Trials came out on top. And then I had like with my one-on-ones with everybody, I got everyone to like design parts of Wildwell itself, which actually like only parts of it made it into the final show, but all that lore is already there. And people worked with me on their districts or counties. And yeah, it was pretty cooperative, I feel. Everybody had a lot of input in the world we were making and the story itself, like as it evolved. And that was really fun.
Can I just say also, like, the work that Char has put in on this, like, homebrewing everything is, like, amazing. And blows my goddamn mind. Like,
She took the hardest route for a new DM on a stream, which is
Yeah.
homebrew everything.
Yep.
I regret it, but it's
It
okay.
was so good.
It was so good.
Yeah, it does feel really special that we have this now, and I feel very proud of myself. So thanks for noticing. Okay, this actually kind of goes into the next question we have, which is from a patron. Lord Zombie 13 asks, how stressful is making the pod every week? I have always wanted to make one, but I wonder if I would have the time. And do you want to start, Em, or do you want me to start?
You start.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of going into exactly what we were just talking about.
Yeah. So I work for each episode that we release. I work about 20 hours that week on the episode, and that involves like researching, the thinking of the episode story arc, the overall arc of the season and how it promotes that story, difficulty balancing with like challenge ratings and stuff, or like puzzles. Puzzles with this group. Oh boy.
Constantly see our
Character growth, having like hints and clues for the mystery that they're trying to unravel, thinking of different battle mechanics. I homebrewed a lot of monsters in this game, so that was fun. And then also like all the logistics of like guests and scheduling and incorporating all the Indiegogo NPCs that we had. So it was a lot of work, but definitely the hardest part was planning an episode and like having enough on the page, but also allowing that wiggle room of, because I don't want to have it too on the rails. It's on the rails, but my characters, my players all need to be able to influence the story with their choices and how they. You guys did surprise. That's a question later, but there are some really interesting twists and turns that happen this season.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I definitely could not make this show without literally everybody, because we split up all the roles. Emily has the next like super stressful role of editing, so I'll let Emily jump in. But yeah, with everybody sharing all the responsibilities and duties, that's the only way we could do this for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I work about 20 hours a day on my editing day. I wake up on Wednesdays and I'm like working the whole day basically. As it's gone on and I've gotten more used to editing, that's been cut down. But the question is like, how stressful is it? The thing is that it is stressful. Especially like with that 1 day turnaround. Not doing that next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I think like it's so rewarding though, especially the actual play, like the storytelling, like, and I think there's something to be said also about the time the time in the world that we're having right now as we like make this.
Yeah.
All of us are missing like theater and acting. Pardon me. So having this creative outlet is so makes up for the stress. Like it really, really does. That, and I started counseling this year, and that has super helped with my stress levels as well.
Yes.
Yeah, therapy.
Yeah.
Woo!
Self-care has been like the number one thing that we've worked on. So, it's doable, I think. But you also have to be prepared that if you're making a podcast, you're never going to listen to podcasts again. There's just not enough time.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts.
If you're editing a podcast, you're never
Yeah,
going to
if
listen
you're
to a
editing-
podcast.
That's yeah.
I have my podcast that I like to listen to, but yeah, it takes up a lot of time. But there is also a benefit though of having that 1 day turnaround is that it's like a limit and I can't procrastinate that shit then.
Mm-hmm.
So overall answer, very stressful, but very rewarding and worth it.
Yeah, and I'd say like because we all have different roles, so every role is like has its different level of stress. So I organize all of the ads on the podcast, and I work with some guesting on other podcasts. And for me, there's like this maybe 2 to 3 week window before the season is released. That's just like stress. Where like I feel like every hour I'm checking the email and replying to emails as they come up, like working on rewrites of ads and that sort of thing. So I have like this window of stress, and then the rest of the time I'm just here having fun playing the pod, being a character.
Yeah.
So like it depends. If you have enough people to share out the job, it's super varied.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I run the social medias, and I feel like the window of time before the podcast launched was the most stressful time because I was planning out, like, you have to get like the hype train going, right? So there's like a lot of things. It's less of a schedule and it's more of a, hey, look at us. We are a thing now.
Look at us, look at us, look at us, look at us.
And then once the podcast was up, it was like, oh, okay, I have a week's schedule, basically. There are the off times where like 1 day out of the week or a couple days where there aren't as normal scheduled things. But other than that, it was like, okay, I post my sound bites when the podcast is up. I post when we're going on, when we have special guests. I post like certain special things when they go up on Patreon. It's a lot more structured now than it was before we launched, and I'm excited to get the hype train going for season 2 and our other stuff.
And
And
I
we
have
got a
also,
week of
like,
stress again.
like that lead up to it, Rachel, like you did an amazing job with it. I remember I went to see some family friends like in a park one day. And one of them was like, I don't know what you're doing, but you must be doing something right, because I see tabletop titties fucking everywhere. And I was like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
It's like
everywhere.
It's
Can't
like
get rid
making
of us.
sure there's something up on there, like one a day. Like it's like when we got into the schedule, you could do like every other day and it'd be okay because people know, oh, okay, this podcast is out on Thursdays. So that's when the big push is. But beforehand, it's like, hey, we coming. Look at us. We coming.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had a solid weekly 3-hour chunk of stress for the actual stream itself, but I'm really excited to be more incorporated into the just week-long stress now.
Yay! A quick reminder before I jump into the next question. If you're watching live, if you're in the chat, feel free to throw us some questions. We have a list going, and I'll add you to that list, so feel free. You have not yet missed out. Okay, next question. How do you do your session zeros? This is a very interesting question. First of all, as Sara mentioned earlier, like consent is a huge, huge important factor to consider. And session zeros are like the biggest way that you can help ensure that you have consent with your players in regard to like topic and things that you might encounter in your campaign. So my session zeros, first of all, doing the consent form. Again, I'll reiterate that. We have it on our website. It's a huge, huge helpful thing. And that also, I think, is a good tool because you don't have to verbalize anything. Sometimes it's hard to talk about things that you're really uncomfortable with. So just being able to tick a box, like, don't talk about that. Done. You don't even need to question it. And then after I've like received all those, I'll have everybody together and we'll talk about the world that we're trying to create together, what our main ideas are for the campaign. And something that I think is really cool is like, what do you want out of the campaign, like the play experience? Do you want to have a lot of battles? Do you want to have a lot of like thinking puzzles? Do you want to have a lot of RP? So for us, the biggest thing was having that role play, this being like a story driven show. And then like battles were like next on the list. So we, I feel like we incorporated that pretty well. And then, like character building, we work together and separate with our characters, because the first time around we tried to like be a little secretive, so there were like surprises, like people didn't really know each other, which I think worked and kind of didn't work for us with like episode flow, but that was an interesting thing to do. And I did one-on-ones with everyone to like really flesh out backgrounds of characters and have things I could pull from for the show, and that was really fun. But yeah, that's my session 0. But there are many ways to do them.
Yeah, kind of on this topic, as we went along, like as we got closer to the end, we would like message each other and be like, hey, I think it would be really fun if our characters got to talk about this next episode. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a cool way to like check in with someone being like, hey, are you cool if this comes up? And they'd be like, yeah, heck yeah, let's talk about this in this episode. Like, let's have a floof cat moment. I love this. Then Wilmer goes and throws Floof at a what was it, ghost? Shadow?
Yep. It was a ghost.
They think they're having a moment and then nope.
Never forget.
There are no secrets with Asher. Nothing. It's all on the surface.
On that, I think that like Shar, you mentioned like the being so secretive, and I think that like that was awesome in the beginning. But I remember at one point we had in one of our meetings, we were just like, we're all actors. Like, you just fucking share stuff. Like, which I think was really helpful. Like going on, like finding out that like I messaged Rachel. I was like, hey, this hasn't actually come up yet, but you might know my parents? Question mark.
Yeah.
So yeah, like very, very interesting as we move on.
Damn it. You saying that makes me feel bad. Asher does have some secrets. A few secrets.
It's gonna be like episode 1, and like Wilbur's gonna be like, "So we don't know anything about you. Can you tell us everything?"
Yeah.
Then I get to do a half-hour monologue, and you guys don't get to roll any dice. I'm very excited.
Makes editing really easy. Let's do it.
Well,
Yeah,
speaking
let's do it.
of
I'm
Kelly doing a half-hour monologue, my next question is, what does it take to run a stream?
Just let me
Yeah. Do you want to just polish your
let me just wild up my hair.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So
aliens.
In this audio medium.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
true.
let me start off. Streaming and running a stream is not something you're going to immediately be good at. It is. I warn you ahead of time that you will be amassing knowledge over a long period of time as you just slowly get better. That being said, let me tell you all the things that you need to do right now. So right off the bat, the most important thing with streaming is that you have a good mic. Having good audio is top priority because, as we know from Tabletop Tiddies, you can turn it into a podcast. And if you start out not having good audio, there's no saving it with any amount of filters or editing. So you can Google anything you need for audio. Yeah, you can't save it.
Please invest in good microphones.
Yeah.
Do anything.
Are you eating one of your cookies?
No.
Is it good?
It's okay. It's a bonus episode. I allow it.
This is like my third one that I've had. You guys haven't noticed?
What? No,
No, I actually didn't.
I didn't either.
I didn't at all.
You're
It's
very
so sneaky.
You are a rogue.
This is the
so it makes
rogue,
sense.
yeah.
And like for stream specifically, there's a lot of filters that you can do on your audio to make it sound good for the stream. All of which can be Googled, but like you could stream a black screen, and if it has good audio, I'll listen to it. Then the follow-up to that is having a good camera is also good. It's like less important than a lot of the things that I'm about to say, but like getting yourself a high-def webcam, a cheap-ass ring light that we're using.
Yeah, like 20 bucks.
Yeah,
20,
this
30
thing-
bucks.
Look at a ring light. It'll just, you can do a lot of filters and stuff to your camera to make it look nice, just with those base components. And I think that we at Tabletop Tiddies have nice visuals. We look nice. We all have good lighting and whatnot.
Yay.
So that's
We're all
important.
beautiful
Me
as
taking
fuck.
a compliment. I was like, no.
I just showered, so my face is red and oily. So, then now that we live in a hell world where nobody gets to be around each other, using Zoom or Hangouts or whatever the hell Google calls it now, learning how to use that properly for your stream is the next important thing. The last thing you want is like someone to leave the call and like everything, all your overlay screws up. I actually capture the program itself so that I can put shit on top of the program without like my mouse showing up or anything. Right now I can't see Zoom, but you can't see that I have the questions above everyone's face right now. And it's
So sneaky.
it's hella convenient. My next point is disable all system sounds on your computer. For like 2 years, I had like, oops, you're trying to save something. Ooh, you just unplugged a USB device. Ooh, reminder that you have a schedule or something. Go into your
Windows.
sounds for your PC.
Yeah.
Disable everything because it's a minor detail, but like you feel in your heart really bad that something popped up or whatever. It just you don't need that shit. No one cares. My next point is that all of you lovely people on the stream got me a stream deck for streaming, and it helps so hard. It's just a little grid of buttons, but you can pre-program it with like scene transitions, audio turning on and off. If I press be right back, all of you are muted, and I don't have to toggle that myself. You don't actually have to buy the hardware. There's a program you can get for your phone that is free, and we'll do all of that for you. And it's just helpful to be streaming and press a button, and it's like, hey, here's Wilmer. Hey, look, it's Wilmer now. Hey, hi, Wilmer. How's it going? So yeah, that's helped immensely. Overlay art. as you can see, we're all framed in nice squares, and I tried to do a good job of like balance and make everything look nice. That's one of the things that you'll learn over time. In this hell world of teleconferencing, I personally consider the frames like the set. So I try to make it look nice so that it's like watching a play with a nice set or something. I think that's a good. I think just like slapping something together is easy, but it feels bad in my heart.
It's like a really big step up quality wise from just like screen sharing your Zoom
Yeah.
to having like overlays. We don't currently have our pronouns on our overlay, but that's something I definitely want to have next season. So we're like always evolving, but that's like a huge thing. You can put just like tiny tidbits of information that'll help the viewer.
Oh man,
with anything that they need to know.
Delta Kanuckian said it's basically blocking, and that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Like I've used the overlay to like distinguish like villain versus ally. Like when Noura and B.Dave were here for the finale, they were all down the middle, like they were fighting the rest of you, even though Noura was with you. But that's
like that.
100% correct. Something that we added this season, like mid-season, was music and sound effects, and boy howdy does the stream benefit from that. It's really easy to get into a moment when the music is pumping, or during your entire like epilogue scenes. My heart felt good because there was just a casual little strumming of a lute in the background, and it felt so peaceful and nice. We use Sirenscape, but Roll20 actually has like a built-in player that you can use if your players use Roll20, or just whoever's hosting the stream can just play music, and it really helps for people watching. I have 2 more points. My first one is...
Oh my god.
I told you, this was...
There's a lot that goes into this.
Honestly, though, these are great.
If y'all want to leave, I can go. I can keep going. In all caps, attention to detail. So I came from a background of QA, so my brain is broken. And
what's QA?
Quality assurance, specifically for video games, but you could be a QA for paper, or something else.
Quality assurance.
But
that's the Office reference for this episode.
But it was literally my job to just point out pedantic problems with video games. And my brain has now just wired itself to always point out like small little details. But having those little like problems with details doesn't mean that you've failed. Just try to wire yourself to see those, change them, and then like, evolve as you fix small things. Like a minor thing is that none of us in the overlay have the like little yellow bar that shows up when you talk on Zoom. I see some people just forget to get rid of that, and it's a little thing, but it kind of affects your blocking and whatnot. So like, yeah, as Char said, during the break, I'm going to be improving the overlay, making changes. I'm going to edit all your character scenes that we transition to, and I'm just going to like make little changes that I see, and I'm always trying to pile on the things that I learn to make it look nice and better at all times. And that's me. You guys can take it away now.
Nice.
It looks really good, and like I have to say, like it's spectacular. Like I said way at the beginning, like this thing is snowballed, and like I think the quality of the stream is like so amazing.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
blows my mind as someone who has recently done a little bit of like the behind the scenes streaming herself. It's like
it's like I think the Stream Deck is like my favorite. All the things that I said, fuck it, make your screen look bad, but having the Stream Deck just has improved everything. It's so cool.
We could also do a little bit of talking about like what we do to make our stream, like as actors, what are we focusing on for the show? Like one of the things that we decided was we wanted to have like high energy, high connection. So we had our episodes only be 2 hours. Sometimes we have to go a little bit over due to like my poor time management, but having
we don't talk about the Dungeons and Dinosaurs one shot and going over.
That one was for charity.
Yeah, it was for
Yeah.
charity.
Yeah.
More hours on the clock for the charity.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was like one rule that we did, which I think has really helped our quality. Does anyone else have like other little tidbits that we do?
I'll throw in that we learned over time, like we were always working towards not doing as much. There's always a delay with Zoom, so there's the crosstalk thing.
Yeah.
We weren't I feel like we were not terrible at the start, but we've drastically improved like so much. They're just like you just get used to it, right? So there are just little things, and it's just being aware of them that is the big one, I think.
I have two things. One, the Heckna episode.
Shh, no.
Going back. No. I'm going to talk about it. Going back to edit that shit. I was like, everyone needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
stop talking. Because we recorded that after our first episode, so it's still very early on.
Yeah.
The second thing is I really want to like shout out our guests on this season. I was like, after our season finale last week with B.Dave and Noura, like it was like I was sitting there editing the next day, and even just like looking physically at their sound waves was like a freaking RPG masterclass, because you could see the 2 seconds they took in between each person talking, A, for no crosstalk, and B, as a role player, you could tell that they're taking in what the other person is saying and processing before they respond. Like it's every single like improv class you ever take, you have to listen to the other person. And like like I'm a visual person, so like seeing that so clearly like in their audio waves like was so good.
Also just like seeing, like as you get to know each other, you get to know each other's play styles and how they talk and their like comedy. So you get to know when their ideas are done, and you get to know like when they've said their punchline and that sort of thing. And I feel like that's really helped us.
Yeah,
And
totally.
like we did a bunch of like practice episodes where we were just like messing around, having fun, doing one shots and such. And I think that really helped us.
For sure.
Also, I feel like for us, since we are this started as us wanting to do it as a show, so we also going off of what was said before, where we would talk about it beforehand for certain things, being like, hey, do you want to bring this up? Because I think as an actor we can forward the story a little bit, so it's less of a like there are still moments in the show that are surprises for all of us, but there are certain things that, because we are all actors and performers, we can kind of try to push the story forward on ourselves beforehand, and I think that
nothing
really
is
helped
scripted.
us.
It's
not.
like, nothing
No.
is scripted. But yeah, like having like knowing points to possibly like bring up.
Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
also
This is
really,
like all of the next question that we have.
Whoops.
I was gonna say that really helped me too, because there was a lot of times where it was like you wanted to have a one-on-one or something, and I had an opportunity to actually make the overlay for just being one-on-one.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for the raid, Geekly Inc.
Hi.
Woo!
Hello.
You are joining mid talkback / Q&A of our first season of Tabletop Tiddies, a queer and feminist Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition actual play. And we're going to jump into our next question, which we've sort of already been answering, which is from Colleen D, who asks, what did you learn from this season? So if anyone has other things that they desperately want to add before we move on to the next one.
I got something to add, is that I realized this so late in the game, is that playing an older character, I like kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit, because it's so different. It's so different coming up with 16 years of backstory versus 69 years of backstory. Have the humor of a 12-year-old boy. I realized way too late in the game, as a role player myself, I did not do enough work on this character ahead of time. Simply because of years of life. Very difficult. So I will be doing more backstory work and playing younger characters for a little while because I don't want to do more backstory. Because I truly think, like, as a role player, you need to let things like live and breathe in the moment. Like, you're never gonna know a character 100%. I don't think you're always discovering new things.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. My thing that I learned from the first season is like working together with folks that you want to work with is so much better and so much more fun than doing like a school project where you're just assigned people to work with. Like even when we were doing stuff that I didn't like to do or that wasn't instinctive for me, like working with y'all was a hecking pleasure. Like it just came so much easier because I had that kind of support from people that I trusted and people that I enjoyed working with. And that's just something that I learned that I really liked learning.
Nice. Rachel, did you have something to add?
I mean, I feel like everybody's kind of touched on all the topics that I've kind of learned throughout this. I learned to trust myself a little bit more because, like, I was really stressed about running the social medias because I was just like, oh my God, there's so much to do. There were a few times in the beginning where I accidentally like tweeted on my personal and I was like, wait, delete, no, redo. Like there was a lot to like wrap my head around managing all of these things, and it's gotten easier. And I feel like just knowing that once you're in a pattern and there is a weekly schedule, that it gets so much easier is just really comforting. So yeah. And then working with everybody's great. I learned a lot about Borba and it was fun, but that I think comes up later, learning about our characters and stuff. So yeah, it's great. Season 2 is going to be even better.
Heck yeah.
And y'all put answers that are like, I learned to trust myself and do tech and whatnot better. But mine is that I learned that druids are rad as hell.
They're fucking cool, yo.
I never played a druid before, but they're like bards are considered the most versatile class, but druids are just dope. Like high level Timber, if Timber goes down to unconscious, 4 animals will pop up and defend his body, which is so damn cool. Also,
That's
crazy.
Cool.
Also, Tasha's introduced an optional rule where you can spend a wild shape to just find familiar. So I could have been walking around with like 20 goddamn animals at any given time.
That's so cool.
Going in the future, I might just play. Circle of Shepherds is the one I played, so it was like animal focused, much to Sarah's chagrin during the Dino episode. But playing just a druid that's like, I don't want to fight, so I'm gonna make things to fight for me. So cool.
I think the biggest thing I learned was how to like time manage an episode, because this was my first time DMing or like a session. So you need to give every player a chance to really like have their moments to shine, but you also need to learn like when to like move the story along. Otherwise you're not going to get enough done. So at the start of the show, I either had way too much prepared, like the Haunting of Fall Manor, this is like a tidbit behind the scenes, was supposed to only be 1 episode. And
I'm
then
so sorry.
It ended up being like 3, and I was like,
God.
but then also I had
I'm
like
so sorry that I
way
laughed so
too
bad.
little. No, that's fine. I mean, it was a big oversight for me. And then like other times I had planned way too little, like the carriage battle. I had to improvise a lot of that, the second half of that episode, because I thought that it would take much longer than it did. It was our first battle we ever did. And now, I have like, when I do episode plans, I think of what I could cut from the show if I like know that we're going to run out of time. I have little moments that I can cut. And I also think that overall, like receiving feedback from my players as we went on was really, really helpful to me. Like, again, going back to that first battle, I had like no descriptions as a DM. I just was like, roll to attack. Great, you hit. Okay, next person or whatever. I feel like I've been able to get a lot better at that. And that was mainly because of feedback from my players. So thanks, everybody.
Nice.
Honestly, like Char, like watching you DM as a new DM taught me how to DM. Like it sounds silly, but like seeing you succeed in aspects made me be like, oh, I want to succeed in that aspect too. I'm gonna make sure I do well in that. Like that really, I thought it was super instructive, both as a player and as a prospective DM.
Yay! That's awesome.
I do have to say, on that Haunting of Fall Manor, though, like that was basically a giant puzzle. Of course, it took us 3 episodes to do.
It was a puzzle. We're horrible at puzzles.
No,
Char.
so
no
bad at
puzzles ever.
Okay, we have a bunch of chat questions, which I would really love to get to. So Beverly Field in the chat asks, how do you develop your characters? What are some things that you do for that? Does anyone want to jump in there?
I feel like Borba is a weird one because I had her already planned out from like years ago.
I gotta get to it.
Yep.
So I don't know. I just kind of came up with the fun part about Borba was that she was an edgy like really edgy backstory that was like, oh boy, her parents died. Classic backstory. She's looking for revenge. But then I just kind of like, that was all I wrote. And then I just like spitballed off of that in the moment to make her. So that was her. And then, yeah, she became something a lot more than I thought she was going to.
I feel like that's the truth for everybody that we found while making this.
Yeah.
I usually make tragic characters because I like exploring like the I don't know, the human experience or some smarmy bullshit like that. But there's so many like D&D characters that are like, my character's got a tragic backstory. I feel like I'm shitting on Borba now, but
how dare you?
It's like one of my fucking characters playing Pathfinders was like a witch that watched her entire village burn down, and now she's a mute because her tongue burned or some bullshit. So I literally made Timber to be just a chill-ass little boy who hangs out in the woods with his pet animals, has a bunch of, like, loving siblings and a family that takes care of him, and just came to the trials to, I don't know, hang out and chill out. So it was just nice to play, like, a character that didn't have a lot of, like, trauma, I guess. It was just a nice, like, it was, I felt it was, like, so unique to a D&D character to not have a tragic backstory, and it was fun to just play a chill ass person, I guess. Mm-hmm. Not that there was a hidden dark backstory that I never got to, though, by the way.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, like, bouncing off that, Wilmer doesn't have a tragic backstory, really. Like, I mean, everyone has a little bit of trauma, but I know that I created Wilmer based off of, like, I was talking to Char before we did this, and she was like, I want to model this off Dimension 20. In terms of, not model, but like take inspiration from
hell
game style, the way they do their episodes. So she recommended that I watch their season that took place in New York.
Hell yeah, that's my favorite.
What's it called?
Unsleeping City.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Unsleeping City. So then I found out about like a wild magic sorcerer, and I was like, this is so cool. I want to be a wild magic sorcerer. So I basically was like, hey, wild magic. What is the most wildest magic you can imagine? I was like, teenage boys. Teenage boys are chaotic, like hormones. Like, that's just, to me,
voice
that
breaking.
screams. Yeah, just screams wild magic. So I kind of crafted my character off of wild magic and the chaotic that comes with hormones. And I thought, like, making him a prince would give him a good, like, foothold in the world. And that's how I came up with Wilmer.
Nice.
It's funny that Wilmer went class character. I tend to go the exact opposite. I was watching Incredibles 2 one day, and I saw Edna Mode, and I was like, that's what I want.
That makes 100% sense now.
Yeah.
Did you not
No
know that?
capes.
I was like,
No, I mean,
was
your
like,
character
literally
wears a
the
fucking
same.
cape, so how
I
was I
know,
supposed to
right?
get that?
I was watching it. I was like, that's it right there. And I messaged a friend of mine, and I was like, guess what I just figured out? And he was like, we just kind of I spitballed.
Yeah,
There you go.
spitball.
wrong.
Yeah.
We
Spatball
spitballed.
is even better.
Good. We spitballed ideas off each other and like coming up with like the name Steve. I was like, it's just like the most ridiculous fucking name ever. And the thing is that, and we never actually got into this, but like her shtick was like as a rogue is that because she makes all the clothes, she knows where the secret pockets are, so she can pickpocket all the good stuff from them later. Which we never really got into that, but like whatever. And then like I said earlier on, like I shot myself in the foot with making her so not so old, but like having so many years of life. I didn't fill in a lot of the blanks until much later on. Yeah, end of mode.
Yeah. We have another question in chat. Scott55 guy asks, "What is your favorite aspect of the game and why?"
Ooh. Good question.
When I'm a player of D&D, as a player, I love battles. I normally play Biscuit Pitter Patter in our home game, who's a wizard, and I love the amount of versatility that comes as a wizard when you're dealing with battles and magic. And that was interesting to deal with battles as a DM. My brain explodes. Battle episodes. It's weird because battle episode planning documents for me have like it's very short compared to RP episodes. And again, like going with what Sara said, I was trying to emulate Dimension 20 of like one episode of battle, one episode of RP, and going back and forth with that. But like battles as a DM was intense. So much going on. It's very interesting for me. But yeah, I think that's my favorite part is definitely the battles or confrontations.
I like
I'm the complete
character
opposite.
creating. Oh, I'm so sorry. We talked at the same time. No.
Oh no, you've ruined everything.
We were doing so well. I'm sorry.
We're doing so well.
You go first.
I'm the complete opposite. I love the role playing because I love the peeling back of the layers.
Like an
the
onion.
Characters.
Like a
an
Shrek.
Onion. Like ew. It's the RP, the storytelling aspect of it really is my favorite. Now, Rachel, you go.
I also love that. I love RP, but I also really like character creation. That might just be a little bit of me being obsessed with video games. I spend hours on end just messing with the character creators on most things. I'm like, well, this is all I'm doing today. Not even starting the game, just doing this. But rolling the stats, it helps give you ideas about what the character could be like personality-wise before you even like get into what ideas and things like that. Because like I rolled really well for Borba, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just put the good stats. It was actually really perfect because there was like a couple really great rolls, and then there was like one that was like a 6, and I'm like, well, that's her intelligence.
I love trash rolls so much. Trash rolls are as good as good rolls.
Yeah.
They are.
I'd say they're better.
Yeah.
You have so much more interesting things to work with than just rolling all 20s. It's like, okay, well, now I'm just perfect at everything, and this character has no flaws.
Yeah.
Like,
You're the fucking anime character that everyone makes in high school, where it's like,
yeah.
my name is Deathwing Murderblade, and I've got 20 in all my stats.
Except for a positive backstory. I have a 0 positive backstory.
I mean,
Everyone I know is dead, and so am I inside.
piggybacking off Rachel, I feel like most people that are close to me know that I am absolutely obsessed with character creators. Like, Hero Forge is the best video game ever made because it's just the best part of the game, which is character creation. Making my character for season 2, I stayed up until like 6 a.m. 3 nights in a row, just fiddling around with like cool little backstory things and like little stats and whatnot, and it's unhealthy as fuck. But
Dude, your backstory, from what you've told us, seems really cool. And I'm very excited.
I am always in love with the characters that I make. As a queer folk, I never make a character that I wouldn't date.
Love that.
I would like to say that as a queer folk, I would not date Wilmer.
Hey, Sarah, I date Wilmer.
Here's-
I feel like I could. I feel like I could change
Oh,
him.
juicy.
Oh
I feel
my.
like you could change him.
He's 16, Kelly.
I used to be 16.
Yeah, what does that say about
He
you?
was 46 for a moment.
He
I've
was
never been in love harder.
46 and hot with a deep voice and a grizzled hair.
My second real answer is that as a DM, my favorite part of D&D is like the joy my players get when I let them do something. It oftentimes D&D is a very strict system that has like a contingency for literally anything that ever happens. But to be a DM and just say, you know what, fuck it, roll for it and then your players just like
Yeah.
smile ear to ear is such a good feeling.
Till they
Oh
nat
my God.
one.
Till they now,
Until then, what? Who?
Emily, I'm so sorry.
What about you, Sarah? Any favorite aspects?
Okay. I would say I love the chaotic RP and the like battle. So I love how you can like kind of piggybacking off what Kelly said, but I love how you can narrate your own fail or you can narrate your own success. So like sometimes you'll narrate and you'll be like, I rolled a nat 20 for acrobatics, so I'm gonna do like a fucking tuck dive, aerial silks, flip over this thing, and it's so cool. Or like you nat 1 and you're like, I accidentally trip on a rock and I faceplant into the giant field of blueberries, and now my face is blue for the next like 20 minutes. Like, I love how that kind of aspect of the game is able to play where you don't know what's going to happen, but you're able to just like come up with crazy stuff and just come up with funny stuff that happens. And it keeps the game interesting and non-predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. This is like
Well
whatchamacallit. What is it called? Family Feud. Good answer. Good answer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tater Tot 9 in the chat asks favorite and least favorite classes. I mean, I already said I played a wizard for my home game. That's really, really fun for me. I think my least favorite is fighters. They just seem kind of boring to me. I mean, I don't think I'll ever want to play a non-magic user. I love the versatility that comes with magic.
I feel like spellcasters just intimidate the shit out of me. As the tank, I'm like, what are spell slots? I'm currently in the process of making a wizard right now for a one-shot thing that we're doing, and you'll hear more about that soon. But yeah, I'm just like, holy shit, what am I doing? Because I've never played a magic user before at all. So I actually have mentioned, I've messaged Char a lot, being like, were these good?
Yeah.
How do I do this? So yeah, those, I don't know if it's my least favorite. I'm interested in playing them. I just think that it's a really steep learning curve for anybody who hasn't used magic users before, personally.
Yeah, the
tanks are always going to be my
so
thing.
steep.
Yeah, it's like a lot to figure out.
Yeah, I feel like the classes like fighter and rogue are sort of there for the players that don't want to deal with a lot of the
Deal
spell
with
casting.
that.
It's like,
Yeah, but you like even with rogue, you get so many special abilities that you need to memorize.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Sneak
take out
attack.
Trickster, like
Yeah. Uncanny dodge.
Yeah.
never getting hit. Which is good
Mm.
because I roll like shit.
Yeah, my favorite is always as Delta Canuckian has just said in chat. My favorite thing to play is a tank because I just like punching shit, man.
yeah, I always gravitate towards the healer. Like in high school, my player or my character was a cleric, but I've really started leaning into warlock. I played one for like a 2-hour one-off, but like something about their versatility in terms of like some of your evocations are literally just feats. I'm really starting to vibe with warlock, and I would like to play a warlock at some point in the future.
I have played a sorcerer, fighter, cleric, monk, ranger, and paladin. And I will say that easily my least favorite was the ranger. Just because I feel like every single time we had the same problem that Steve had at the beginning, where it's just like, hey, we're in combat. I shoot my bow.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't interesting. Like, even if I'm like, I shoot my bow into his like gonads, like I feel like there's only a certain amount of times that you can do that and have it be funny. So, and I know like there's a lot of people who are big Ranger diehards, but that's my least favorite one. And I hecking love Paladins. I will die on this hill.
I forgot to say my least favorite, and it's Paladin.
Kelly!
Sarah, why do you love Paladins
They're
so much?
so cool. Okay, so you can melee fight, and you're like a bomb-ass melee fighter. And then you can also heal, so you can be a support class. And, like, you're fighting for a cause. You can choose your own cause, whatever it is. Whether it's, like, I love nature, or, like, I believe in the good of people. You don't have to necessarily tie it to a religion. You're just, like, a beefy boy. And you can be the tank if you want, but you're also a healer. And you're like, this is crazy. I feel like when I played a dragonborn paladin, and I felt like I was breaking the game because I could like breathe fire and heal people. It was so cool.
Paladins are just clerics with a cause.
Clerics also technically have a cause. I would like to put that out there.
No, sorry, paladins are clerics with a cause. Clerics are warlocks that are religious.
Yeah.
Hey.
What about you, Em?
Hot take.
My least favorite is any religious class. I'm not about it. I did 12 years.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
Straight up. I did 12 years of
Just
Catholic
at me
school.
and Kelly.
No, okay, but like you guys do it. Okay, here's the thing. You guys also had things that you liked and didn't like. I'm just like not about. I did 12 years of Catholic school. I don't need that shit. Are we gonna get there, Sarah? We lost Sarah for a second. We're good. Okay, we're back. Okay, good.
Oh no, Sarah's muted now. Do you want me to go to
camera's
BRB?
going crazy.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
I'm gonna press my Stream Deck to go BRB.
Burb.
We'll be right back.
Assume, like,
All right, we're back
cardboard
now.
crashed.
It was but a split second.
Twas but what is it? Twas but a scratch.
Yes. Continue, Emily.
All right. Yes, and then my favorite. I do enjoy playing a tank, which is funny because I'm playing a rogue, a gnome rogue.
Hey, this is
I'm
paladins can be tanks.
but I'm making a halfling barbarian for a one shot coming up with a pirate background, and I'm really into that, and I'm excited for that. Yeah, I feel like I would like a fighter though as well. Like Char said, you didn't like those, but like, yeah,
Cool. That's cool. I don't mind.
Char, you're wrong. Fighters are great.
Okay.
We're all just like, fuck you for not liking my favorite class.
There's a lot of subclasses of the martial classes that are just like, hey, you get spells now. Like an arcane trickster is like, hey, you're a martial class, but do you want some spells? A little bit.
Yeah, like I'm multi-classed into artificer for Steve, and I'm like, oh shit, now I got to deal with spells now. Like, yeah.
All right. Next question. Colleen D asks, what was your favorite part of the season? I'm really excited to hear about this. This was so fun. Em, do you want to go first?
Can I say all of it, or is that a cop out?
That is a cop out.
Damn it. Okay. I really loved. I think it was. Which one was it? I think that was the Skula episode. That one was. I really loved that whole battle. Was really, really cool. Yeah.
Nice.
And I loved that the Feywild world business as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think that was our first time having a guest as well, which was also like super nerve-wracking, but also like so much fun.
Aside from Kelly, who is currently here and
Yes.
present
Yes.
Kelly's like here all the time. Kelly's part of the family.
I'm boring by now. I'm just always
no, you're
here.
part of the family.
Welcome to the family, son.
Hey.
Didn't mean it like that. Ah.
Oh, my favorite
Someone else
part
go.
Yeah.
of this season was getting to be friends with all of you.
The real Wildwell Trials were the friends we made along the way.
But like honestly, like seeing our characters slowly like each other was really special. And like I went through my Wilmer character notes, which are on our Patreon if you want to become a member.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, like looking through my notes today, I wrote in big ass Sharpie, like, Borba says she likes me. And I was just there and I was like looking back through and I was like, oh yeah, I remember like the first time in the podcast when Borba said that she liked Wilmer. And I remember the first time that Steve like approved of Wilmer as like a member of the group. And I remember those moments because they were so special to both the character and me as a player, because it was like, oh, like you like me, they like me, you know, like it was really sweet, and that was my favorite moment. Also, the doll shit, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Every time that Borba was like, oh, the doll's back, that was funny.
Speaking of Borba, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, partly one of my favorite parts about this was getting to work with and almost basically complete Borba's lifelong goal of spoilers, murdering her brother.
Whoop whoop.
Was like the main thing I wrote in my backstory for this was like, yeah, this is what happened to her backstory. Her brother's a big piece of shit and ran away, and she's been hunting him. The last campaign that I was that me and Emily played in university, that was my backstory, and I had it written in that like she was so close to finding him because during that our DM during that was like I was looking around and being like, oh, have you heard of this orc man who's been traveling through? And like, yeah, actually that sounds familiar. He was just here like a couple days ago. It was like every town we went to, it was like, oh, I just missed him. And then we just stopped playing that campaign. So I wrote in that Borba was like straight up super depressed that she got so close and didn't finish her quest. So that was really cool getting to complete that. And I can't wait to see what else she can do. And obviously getting to play with all of you lovelies and all of our wonderful moments of RP has been wonderful and has helped Borba grow as a person and has helped me grow as a person.
Aww.
Yeah.
Kelly.
I really liked the mansion episodes. I'm a huge horror fan, so getting all the spooky mansion and seeing ghosts and stuff was very interesting. I just wish that we had been using Sirenscape at that point, because I know that I could
That would have been
could spook you all with the horror musics that I chose. And I don't know, I liked playing a character that was support, but only in the fact that you could like come and chat with them. So it was fun to like develop a character behind the scenes. So every time you saw him, he was like a different, like something different had been happening to him. That was fun.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, the evolution and the fact that, like, Timber's life continued when we weren't playing with them. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And very well handled.
Just the final Timber form is just full on Rambo. Stealing potions for y'all.
Similar to Emily, I also really loved the Skula arc. If I had to just pick one specific moment that I loved, working with Josephine McAdam to play that character and how to like best torture you all in a surprise round was really, really fun. And not in like a I love to torture my players kind of way, but in like a propelling the plot forward and having this like big turnaround moment of like the first time that Korak really was trying to kill you all. And there was this moment where Josephine says, I forget exactly how she worded it,
was it the one
you had
me?
trouble to save your family.
Yeah.
Will you be able to save your friends? As she like
And
goes to shoot Mila.
And I just said nothing because I was just like,
It was so good. That moment lives rent free in my
The
mind.
guests were so good at being ruthless to you. It was amazing.
Guests were
great.
ruthless.
But we loved it.
Yeah, and that's like to bring up the guests too. I mean, every guest we had was so great. Noura Ibrahim, she's the warlock expert. I loved how she played Valkyria. B.Dave Walters was like the only person from the get-go that I imagined playing Korak, so I was so happy that he was able to come on board. And
Dream casting.
yeah, and like the fact that for the last battle he wanted to take control of his posse, as he calls it, of like dealing with the dragon and dealing with Rubnuck. And I thought that was awesome because it took a huge weight off my shoulders, and like you guys had a real challenge.
Yeah.
Before we jump into our second half, which is more like players asking other players questions, I did want to remind everybody that we have a giveaway going on right now. If you leave a review on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, and you take a screenshot and send it to us on social media or email or whatever, you are entered into the giveaway. It's an amazing prize pack. So go ahead. We have 2 links in the chat for Podchaser and for iTunes. Both of them, you get more entries, so go do it. I'm staring at you right now, so go do
Staring
it.
directly into the camera. Take this moment right now. Go leave us a review, and you get entered into the giveaway. It is a Fantasy by Numbers, one of our episode sponsors, Dragon Egg Dice Box, a Tiddies swag pack, and a Season 1 poster. So please go enter that right now.
Sorry, we have a
We might care
poster? Can I
shorter.
get one? What?
No, only
Yes.
for winners.
Yes.
Only
Leave us a review.
It's a only one printed
Like,
poster.
I'm like, what? Like, we're getting that.
All right, jumping into the player versus player questions. I'm going to start with Kelly. Kelly, go ahead.
Sara, this one's for you.
Oh my goodness.
As we all know, Wilmer aged 30 years in an instant. What would you have done if season 2 had 46-year-old Wilmer and he never got greater restoration?
So luckily, like between that happened in part 1 of the 2-part finale. So I got a chance to talk to Shar about what would happen if Wilmer stayed this age. So basically she gave me the helm of deciding if he would become young again by taking Rosemary's hand. So so she talked to me about it, and give me one quick second to formulate my thoughts.
Listen, 46 a hard year. Your memory starts going.
Oh yeah, it starts going. So basically, I decided that if Wilmer were to remain 46, because of his elevated age, he would feel the responsibility to care for his kingdom. So he would spend the rest of his life as leader. But if he were to become 16 again, he would continue on into the Regalia. So
So you were going to play a new character if Wilmer never went back to 16? Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was like a big decision where I was like, do I want to play a new character for season 2 or do I want to play Wilmer again? So honestly, I hadn't fully made up my mind until the exact moment in the episode where Shar was like, Rosemary looks up at you and extends her hand. Like I hadn't fully made up my mind until that exact moment. I debated and I like conceptualized other characters, but as that moment came, I was like, you know what? I heckin' love Wilmer. He's such a little cute boy, and I want to play him for season 2.
Yay!
And that was when I made that decision to turn 16 again.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
I am 46, going on 16.
16.
Kingdoms.
I have a
will
question
fall
for
in
Rachel.
Yeah, what's up?
Ask away.
Rachel, how cool / fun / interesting was it to return to Borba legit 5 years later?
It was super fun. I added the little tidbit that we didn't. I feel like once she got friends again, it was less of a thing, which is super great and a positive outlook on life. I had it in her backstory that she had turned to drinking a lot when she failed at her first mission, and I was like, oh, she has this flask that means a lot to her. And as soon as she started getting in with this group of ragtag crew that she learned to love so much, she doesn't really need it anymore. And I had a little moment I don't remember what episode it was, but I had a little moment to at least remember that she had it, and was like, I haven't drank from this in a while, I'm really proud of myself. And I'm like, that was also just like, I was like, yeah, it just didn't make sense for her to be doing this right now, because she's having a good time and is forwarding her story with these people. And I just have really enjoyed coming back to her and expanding upon what I already had. So, if anybody has the chance to bring back old characters, I highly recommend it, because it's a good time.
You're already familiar with them. Might as well play them again.
And having that much of a fleshed out backstory was huge for me as a DM. Like, Korak became the big bad of the first season, and that was great.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at first, and then it was like, oh, okay, this is great for me. I'm living. Yeah. What other
I have a question. Hey, Emily, as our designated editor, what episode was the hardest to edit? Why? And which was the most fun? Like, questions.
The food fight episode, I think, was the hardest.
Oh.
Because I think it was the longest battle that we had. And battles just typically have more to edit out. There's just more dead space, more stuff to edit, as well as putting music in afterwards. I find battles are a lot harder to find, like, what moments to highlight and everything. The most fun are definitely the later on episodes, because I think in, like, our finale in episode 20, I think I only used, like, maybe 1 or 2 new tracks. So, like, once I edited it together, I could just call back music from old episodes, which is really fun for me to do that. Yeah. Question for everybody. Does anyone have any regrets with your character creation or choices? And is there anything that you would do differently?
I'll jump in here that for me, I mean, I played so many characters, and I think, like, my biggest regret is not keeping a better track of them as I created them. A lot of them I had already fully fleshed out if they were integral to the plot, but sometimes when your players make decisions that you weren't expecting, you have to propel the story along and create characters on the fly, and I didn't keep a good enough track of them after a session was over. Like, I didn't add notes about, like, oh, I don't know, like, rubneck, they, them, furball, blah, blah, blah. I did the bare minimum, but it was often hard to then, when they come up again later, remember exactly what voice was I doing for that? What were the pronouns I decided for this person? And that was it was a learning curve for sure, and going into season 2 I will definitely do that. It's just hard after a session, you're like brain dead from DMing, that you don't want to do those things, but it's really important to do. So that's my biggest regret with character creations.
I mean, for our home game, I legit had to steal my mom's notes because I forgot 3 names of NPCs that I had given out.
Wow.
Sarah.
I think that, like, I love Wilmer, and I would say that if anything, I gave him so much character creation and choices. Like, thanks to Shar too, like, she asked me a bunch of character questions about, like, his family, his sister, like, what was growing up like. And because of that, I was able to have, like, a fully fleshed out background, and I knew fully who he was and who he was based on his upbringing. So, like, I was super happy with, like, my character creation choices as we played the game, because I felt like most of the stuff that we conceptualized and figured out, like, did come up throughout gameplay.
Nice. Rachel?
I'm trying to think, because I don't know if there's anything I would want to change with Borba character creation wise. I had made her a while ago, so I obviously fleshed her out a little bit more. And Floof was a new addition, to that. I may in the future just want to delve into a little bit more and justify why Floof has some sort of magic plot armor. I don't know. Because I don't want him to get hurt, okay? He's a cute little cat. But also, I don't want it to just be plot armor. I want it to be like an actual story reason.
Listen,
so.
he has this weird shiny fur now,
Yeah.
and you don't know why.
Yeah! There's gotta be a reason, so maybe that'll come up in season 2. I don't know. We'll see.
Kelly.
I don't really feel like I need or that I have anything that I would want to change of Timber. I do think I kind of made him like a Mary Sue a little bit, but he's also basically an NPC. So I think like the intricate backstory and like flaws could have come up if I had been in more episodes. But I think he was good for what his purposes were. Like I said, I played a lot of tragic characters, so it was nice to just play a little boy from the woods. And I hope I played a character with epilepsy well, because going forward, I really want to start playing more characters with disabilities just to like normalize it. I didn't want it to be a flaw or anything, and I just wanted to be a part of the character that he's learned how to deal with throughout his life. And I hope I did a good job with that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I have a question. What was the like most unexpected or stupid thing that us as players did, Char? Like, we did a lot of like kind of like I see as crazy shit, but what is the stuff that you were most surprised by?
There's a lot of really fun. I like to go by the rule of cool. So that was fun. Like throwing out like the Haunted Mansion episode. Emily captured the bats in a bag. That was really fun. And that was something that like a fan, Aiden, shout out to Aiden, made a dice bag of that moment. So I thought that was so cool to see. Nice. But one of the biggest things in the second episode, you guys are you just had your battle with these bandits, and then you discover Dulcan and his like horde, and you all seriously considered these pamphlets that were like down with the trials, knowing full well that we had been like, let's do a Hunger Games thing, and then like, you all immediately were like, no, let's really do it. Let's take down the trials right now. And I was like, fuck, my whole season, I have to replan. So thank God Sara as Wilmer was like super invested in competing, and so was Amanda as Mila. And I think you actually left it to chance because it was 2v2.
Yeah.
And that was a real dice roll. Like, fuck, yeah. I have a few other things, too, like the Hag Battle. This is something that my players know because I've been, like, hinting it at them for a while in that moment when we were doing the Scavenger Hunt of Merit arc. The Sea Hag was something I told everyone, like, don't look it up. Please don't metagame for this. And yet I had planned it to be this, like, epic battle. She has the ability to, like, drop a horrifying visage and, like, scare everyone that's, like, within a certain range of her. But the way that you all as a party work together to actually befriend her and, like, totally sidestep a battle at all. Like, Steve was sneaking in to steal shit. That was totally off the cuff. I had to improvise that whole thing because I had a battle plan for that episode.
Sure. So I looked up, I think it was partway through like our episode 2 or something. I looked up a weapon or something, and just a internet page came up, and it was like easy ways to kill your characters. And in it was like number 6 was like PC. It was like, oh, you can kill your characters with a Sea Hag. And I like sent it to Rachel, and I was like, oh my god, we could have died.
It was meant to be like the first like really challenging battle, because from that point on, or up until that point, you hadn't really, like, no one had dropped and no one had to really
Wilmer
use
dropped. Wilmer dropped.
Nobody's died.
Like first episode.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I actually had planned to have, because you made friends with her, Mara became this like actual critical NPC, and she had a lot more to be involved in the story, but I had to cut it due to time constraints. Korak was going to teleport her into the battle as an enemy for you all, but because you had already talked with her, she was going to become an ally. It was a whole thing. I had to cut it due to time, but that was really, really cool. And then like last thing before we move on to another question, I thought that I kind of brought it up in the episodes as we went on, but one of the first puzzles that you had during the application challenges was the Show Me Only Wealth puzzle, which was like a stone statue of a rabbit holding its hands out and staring across the wall. And there was like a shit ton of items in this room, and it looked like you had to put something in the rabbit's hands. And like players were struggling. You guys did a whole bunch of different ideas. I really admired your problem solving, but you weren't really getting where I was going with it. But then
I really appreciate how creative you are, but you were wrong.
Yeah.
But then you all came up with this idea of like putting your most prized possessions in the hands of the rabbit. And that was just too good to pass up. So I just like altered the whole episode to have that be the answer, so that you could progress. And like I loved that moment. Like Mila gave up basil. Borba, you had your flask that had the intricate carving on the side of like the meaningful quote. And then I got to, of course, throw it back in your face later with Noura, which was
like,
nice.
Noura's
we're
just
like,
like,
hey,
yeah.
by the way, you guys got it wrong earlier.
Yeah, y'all didn't do it right.
I mean, that's a good way to keep the group out of your office is by putting a puzzle that they failed.
Yeah.
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 Speaking of moments when we failed, was there ever a moment when you, Kelly, wanted to hop on the mic and like just timber appear out of nowhere and do something? Like, for example, a riddle we couldn't solve, or like one of the times that Wilmer dropped to like 1 HP.
Not really. I think I poked you guys a lot in like Zoom and stuff if there was just like a rules thing that you didn't know. But
Thank you for that all the time.
it's a fine line of like I don't know, mansplaining and whatever. But mostly I just liked playing with y'all. I wish that I could hop in on the mic sometimes when you were having like a really fun moment, just to be there with you. And all of your characters dealt damage. None of you were support. I liked playing support. I would have liked to pop in and be your buffer and your healer. That was like mostly what I did in WoW throughout my entire career of playing. There was a few times actually where like something interesting about your character would come up and I wanted to like push you to talk more about it. And I think Timber is the kind of character that's like, if they hear something interesting about someone, they're like, oh, please tell me more. I would love to hear more about your backstory. And then sit on Pip and have a little bonfire chat with you. And also Timber 100% would have done everything in his power to hook up Borba and Paya. Secret messages written in Borba's handwriting, little trinkets that he makes and says it's from Borba. Just would have pushed that just so that the two of them could be happy, and then tried to high five Steve every time it succeeded.
Okay. I have a real question though, Char. What the heck was that like episode 1 puzzle with the symbols where there was the water sign and the other signs that came up?
Oh, this is my favorite. I know the answer. This is great.
What the heck was it?
This is the only time I ever did this, just so you know. But this puzzle was unsolvable. There was no answer to it. And the whole point was, I used it specifically in this because you're applying to be part of the trials. So they were like judging you and evaluating you on your like problem solving, how you were anticipating to get out of this room as the hallway starts to close in more and more with these symbols appearing. But okay, I use windings as the like random symbols that were lighting up, and somehow literally
I love that so much.
But then somehow the ones that I randomly chose out of the blue, you all were like getting into it with like the reasoning of each symbol so much. Like the tiefling symbol and like water, and like the water is the key to opening the door, and you have to cry on it. Which was wild to me. If you had, there was like a few symbols that you couldn't think of a reason for. If you guys had done that, I think I would have edited the challenge and like you were fine. But yeah, that was meant for you to fail. That was
Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Failing. You know who fails? Wilmer. Wilmer's failed a lot in his life. And Char and I came up with some cool ways that Wilmer's failed in his past. But were there any fun ways, like this is to Rachel specifically. So I came up with a couple, like, Char asked me a question of like, hey, give me a fun Sia Wilmer memory from when they were kids. Did you get the same kind of question of you and Korak?
No. All the stuff I told about Korak was mostly her backstory of like her orc village, like training up the younglings and like training them to be good at combat, and Borba being the favorite and like being extra specially gifted in combat, and
So
Korak not being at all. So that is where the jealousy starts stemming from.
basically, you're the Sia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is what I'm hearing.
I kind of pictured the Borba and Korak relationship kind of like Mufasa and Scar from Lion King. Like he's the Scar. Like he's not supposed to be the leader, but is upset that he's not because he's not as good. Like, but he's smarter, so he's got that going for him, or used to. Rip. Rest in pepperoni.
All right, we have another question coming in from the chat before it's almost time to wrap up. So if you have any other questions, get them in now before it's too late. Dun, dun, dun. But chat is curious what classes your characters would be if they weren't their actual classes that they already are.
I have a fun answer if you want me to go first.
Yeah, go for it.
So when Char was like prepping for Tabletop Tiddies, she had me play each of your classes.
Oh, yeah.
She had me play a bunch of characters so that she could practice DMing. And so I had made like a bunch of characters, Barbarian, Rogue, and Sorcerer. Barbarian, Bard, and Sorcerer, because rogues are easy to DM.
You're welcome.
And Timber used to actually be a sorcerer. And his whole
I didn't know that.
His whole backstory was that he was dragon touched because while he was in the forest, he found a dying dragonborn, and in the dragonborn's last final breaths had imbued him with some of his power. And so Timber was a much more haunted character, as every time he cast his spells, he was basically channeling the 9 hells from where this dragonborn went, and all of his spells looked like his hands were like turning into skeletons and shit. So it was very terrifying sorcerer is what my little druid boy would have been if not a druid.
Dang.
Right.
Love it.
I started multi-classing into Artificer. I think perhaps would have started as an Artificer, I think. Just also because we didn't get into so much of the thieving, greedy background. It was much more about the creation of things. I think I would have started as an Artificer. Yeah.
I feel like we made the joke that, Borba should totally multi-class into Rogue because we made all the jokes about sneaking. I don't necessarily think that's actually right for her. I think if I had to choose a different class for Borba, it might be Paladin or something that is more like, because she's already kind of doing a mix of support and tankiness with her path, her barbarian path. Because she does Spirit Shield and all of these things. And I think she's really, really into protecting her friends. So anything that will make sure y'all don't die, I feel like would make sense.
I was thinking that Wilmer would be a barbarian.
Oh God.
I love it.
Little soft-bodied murder
He's
machine.
a killing machine, right?
I love
Killing machine.
Now he even swears too.
Yeah.
So he's just, like
Swears
angry.
now.
It could be the testosterone
gets
that he's not used to.
angry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I just thought that would be what he would be if he weren't a sorcerer. Like if he hadn't eaten a super sketchy apple. He's great at fighting. He's been trained since he was born. Like it just makes a lot of sense.
Love it.
Whew.
Wait, before we move on, Char, if Biscuit was not a wizard, what class would Biscuit
Oh,
be?
yes.
Yes.
Biscuit, the greatest wizard in the world. What else could he fucking be? I think I've wanted.
Like sorcerer and other spell.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't have to research spells.
Yeah.
He's really feisty, though. So I do think that he could be a rogue. Like, he could be an assassin
Spicy.
rogue, I think would be cool.
You talk up a lot as Biscuit in our home game. I think a bard could also work pretty well for Biscuit.
I just hate bards, though, so I will not play a bard.
I want to play a bard one day.
Wow, bards are great.
Not for me. All right. And yeah, I guess we'll just, before we get on to our extra special big announcement, I do want to remind everybody about season 2 information. So season 2 of Tabletop Tiddies core campaign will be moving on into our Into the Revelia arc, which will be premiering on June 1st as the stream, and we'll be changing from a Thursday release to, is it a Friday release, Em?
Yeah, Friday release.
Yeah.
Friday releases now.
Give me that extra
Podcast.
turnover.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
more time for that. So you'll expect this. You can expect the same characters delving further into this world-changing battle that they're gonna have to be going to. But you know, Hecna is hard to reach. They gotta deal with this haunted horror carnival, which is gonna take them quite a bit of time. And yeah, you can start being excited about that June 1st. And I'll let Kelly take it away for our extra big special announcement.
Pew pew pew. All right, let me dim the lights and get a little bit spookier.
Wow.
So, as the gang goes and hangs out in the Revelia, a few other members of the podcast crew are going to be heading on back to the Victorian era of Titties by Night. Pew pew pew.
Brand new show.
So this is the official art of Titties by Night. You can see up in the top left only for the streamers. I'm sorry, podcasters. We'll post this on our socials. It's me as the storyteller. I will be storytelling this. Top right is Emily's character. Bottom left is Char's character, and bottom right is Rachel's character. So starting our first stream, session 0 will be May 12th. This will be the Vampire 5th edition, but set in the Victorian era. I know the Victorian era is set for more like 20th edition, but I just think that 5th is so much easier for new players, which a lot of you lovely folk will be. It's going to be like darker and involve a bit more darker storylines than Wildwell and Hecna coming up, but we're not actually going to make it as dark as a lot of Vampire the Masquerade streams. What I want to do is kind of have that like middle ground between like really fun, jokey 5th edition kind of streams and the like super dark Vampire the Masquerade. And I think we can sort of accommodate that like middle ground of like still fun, but dealing with darker subject matters. We will be set in London, the year 1890X. I specifically want to make it ambiguous, just in case that we want to do like time jumps or anything with the characters. I like the Victorian era, but I don't want to like accidentally slip into another era. So it'll be, Victorian, romantic, gothic era and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be slightly more Monster of the Week than Wildwell and Heckna will be, where the crew is actually going to play a group of supernatural investigators who have their own agency, and they're hired by various people in the city to deal with whatever supernatural elements are going out in the world. So it's not going to be like each episode is one different monster, but it'll definitely have more of that vibe of like, we're dealing with this case, and then time passes, we're dealing with this case. So while also exploring each character's individual storylines and mysteries in the London Victorian era. So
tune in to us trying to do accents.
My character's Irish.
Yeah, I gotta practice. I mean,
So accurate.
100% gonna be Cockney, gonna be posh, and gonna be just the what's it called? The hello there, I'm just a child on the street, isn't it?
Dickensian.
Dickensian.
Yeah.
Dickensian.
Isn't that Cockney? Look at us. We're gonna know our stuff when this starts.
You're
It's
gonna
fine.
hate all. If you're from jolly old England, I'm so sorry.
We're sorry in advance.
Or
We're not
Ireland.
trying to
I've decided to make my character Irish, and I'm very excited delving into my Irish background. But at the same time, I'm like,
Yeah, I cannot do Irish or Scottish well, so
Yeah.
I applaud you for attempting it.
That's
I'm
hard.
fine.
Irish is so much easier than Scottish. Except for Scottish, you just have to go like every once in a while, and you're good.
I'm gonna show that. I'm gonna show the art for the characters again because I just love
Yeah.
it so much.
It's so good.
So good.
I'm so excited. I
It's
can't
like
give
so
you
sick.
like too much information because of course it's going to be in our session 0. You got to tune in. But
Yeah, you gotta tune in.
my character's name is Octavia and she's blind, which I'm very excited about.
Hey Kelly, who did that awesome
I was gonna
art?
say, all the character art is by the incredible D Kirby J on the Twitters. I've literally never been disappointed with anything that he has made. He is wonderful and speedy as fuck. So if his commission's open and you want art, 100%.
Get in
advise.
there quick.
Yeah.
So yes, now I get to stress about planning episodes. I'm so excited.
But Sarah, why aren't you? What? Why are there only 3 players? Where did you go?
Where did I go? Well, I am producing and co-writing my own musical.
Wow.
Holy cow!
Hey.
Holy cow! So you can find, we're running an Indiegogo right now for the workshopping process, but it's called The Girl Next Door, and it's about a straight couple that moves into an apartment, and the next door neighbor ends up being the girl's ex-girlfriend. So it deals with a lot of really cool, interesting concepts involving like addressing bisexuality and a lot of other cool stuff, and the musical is a pop rock musical.
Ooh.
So it's hecking fun. So that's what I'm spending all my time doing while these folks are being vampires.
Just seeing how excited the chat is really filling my heart with joy. We were nervous, like splitting off from D&D, going into Vampire the Masquerade, having a bit of a different stream, more of a drama. So thank you all so much for your excitement. We're thrilled to be doing it. And of course, Heckna season 2. We've just got twice the amount of shows now.
Yeah.
I like Emily said at the beginning, like, holy crap, we did not expect this project to snowball the way it did.
Yeah. So the Titties Week is Tuesdays, or not regular, but like D&D Titty Tuesday. Wednesdays are Vampire. Thursdays are Arrest Day. Fridays, you get Titties as a podcast. Saturdays will be Titties by Night.
Heck
Yeah.
Full week.
Heck yeah.
Full week of titties.
Woo!
So many titties.
And that's
So many
it.
titties.
That's all we got for our Q&A. Thank you all so much for joining us on this wild ride, this epic journey. It's been amazing having you every step of the way with us and how much you cared about all the characters. We read every bit of emails, tags on social media that we get. Of course, although I am using a pre-written story, again, there will be homebrew elements involved, and I am definitely going to need some NPC names. So
Same.
don't forget to share. And yeah, Titties by Night needs lots of NPCs.
I have no NPCs yet, so if you tweeted us and you're like, I want to be a vampire, I might make you a vampire.
Yeah. What's that hashtag they need to
vampire?
use?
One of them.
Yes, if you would like to be an NPC in either show, hashtag TT Tiddies. Tweet at us
With double Ds.
with double D's. Any other stuff to note? If you'd like to support the show, the easiest way to do that is we're on Patreon at patreon.com/tabletop tiddies. We've got some bonus episodes up there. Some character sheets, Wilmer's adventuring journal, and I'm sure we'll get more stuff up there during our break.
Yeah.
You can check out our merch at tabletoptitties.threadless.com. 100% go tweet out so that we can steal names for NPCs. Go do it. And I'm forgetting stuff. And go leave a review for our giveaway right now. We're announcing the winner on Thursday. Thursday we'll be announcing the winner. So go and enter that giveaway right now, especially because right now Podchaser is doing for every review left, they're donating money to Meals on Wheels. So go leave
So
a review
good.
there on all of your favorite podcasts, not just ours.
Yeah.
But if you do ours, you're also going to enter a giveaway. So
All right, and that's it for us. We'll see you in season 2 and in the Victorian era. Bye.
Bye.